Hey guys, welcome to Brian's Man Cave. So today I'm going to be looking at some Magic the Gathering stuff. Magic the Gathering was a game, well, is a game that I played a long time ago, and kind of been on and off of it for years. I would never say I'm going to fully quit the game because I truly think that Magic is one of the best card games out there as far as tradable, collectible card games. I mean, the game itself is properly balanced, and you can almost do anything in that game. Like, you can make tons of different kinds of decks. And, so I collected the cards back in the 90s. Back when I first went to college, I met a guy who, made friends with the guy, and he was into the game, and he introduced it to me. And, I mean, this is going back to, mid-90s. Too bad I didn't get into the game from the very beginning, because those cards are really expensive and valuable. But I did pick up a lot of, interesting things like this one here, which was like a, I don't know, it's like a starter box, essentially. You would buy it. It was, what, $20? At least it was American money, so I probably paid like 24 being in Canada. But this was pretty cool. It was kind of like a two-player starter set. And I also picked up this other one, which I thought was interesting. I think at the time I didn't really need it. I probably had all the cards, but I just thought it looked cool. It's called the Quick Start Set Rivals, which is sort of the same concept as this one. I don't know if it came out at the same year. Just looking for a 95. So this one's 1995, and this one says 96. So they're fairly around the same time. Really cool. The world's #1 trading card game. They really knew what they were doing. So I just wanted to take a look at this because it's been a while, and I just kind of found this in my stuff, and I thought, hey, let's take a look at this because I love revisiting some of this old stuff. So inside there's this pamphlet for the Duelist magazine. It's kind of like a mini magazine essentially, and that was how we got our card pricing back then, and found out what cards were available. And I still have my huge stack of Duelist magazines, Scry magazines. This was how you found out about stuff: combos, deck designs, all that stuff. You would buy these magazines, and they would have all that information in there. This is kind of like a little insert to kind of, I guess, advertise for it. And then there's the Quick Start Rulebook, which is essentially your Magic the Gathering rulebook. Now, I can imagine that this is sadly outdated. This is 1996. Magic is still going strong today. You see, it kind of runs through a sample game there. And so much has changed in the game. The rules have changed. You almost have to stay on top of this stuff. But it'd be interesting to just do have some friends and just play classic Magic where you only play with the old stuff. That'd be a lot of fun. And it comes with this thing, which is like a, I don't know what it is. It's got like a survey on there, a mail order thing. Probably would do nothing if I mailed it in today. Attention, customer response of Wizards of the Coast. Kind of interesting. That's weird. You don't normally get all this crap inside games anymore. So the Kaz's Guide, whatever that is. Player A. So I guess they designed these decks to really teach you how to play the game. And I've noticed throughout the years that Magic tried several strategies to try and teach people how to play the game. Like, they had sets like this. Then they created the starter set, which was it had its own little expansion symbol, which was a star. And I even remember at the time, they weren't even legal in tournaments unless they were a reprint of a card that was already in play. So they would create special cards that were only in that set that you could not play in regular tournaments. I think they changed that later on for some of the older formats, and they started allowing them, which then started making some of them really expensive because people didn't buy these things, right? So, because it was a starter set. They also had a few other different starter sets. They had a set called Portal, which was supposed to introduce you to the game. Again, they kind of changed the cards a little bit. Most of them were not legal in tournaments unless they were reprints. Again, a lot of them are, can be really expensive nowadays. There's Player B. So I think what it does is it kind of runs you through a full-on game of Magic. So if you've never played Magic before, this would be the set you would buy. And then inside, you see you got the little cart, and it's got the 2 decks. And what's this? Okay, so this explains what's in the deck. Kind of tells you, just in case you mix the cards up and you want to know how to put the deck back together, to say on the back there, please don't open these cards until Zach's guide tells you to do so. So it kind of runs you through a whole story of actually, you know, taking the deck out, putting it down, I guess, I don't know. Probably a bunch of things that go on there. I don't think there's anything valuable in these sets. Like, they're not like, this is, if you know Magic, you'll know the different sets. I believe this was all 4th edition. So, let's just take a look. Like, we got a Plains there. So that's the 4th edition plane. 4th edition, essentially, Magic started off with its original set, and then it came out with a beta set, and then they had like alpha beta, essentially. Then they had unlimited. Those cards are insanely priced nowadays, most of them anyways. And then it went through some expansion sets, and then they came out with a revised set, which was kind of like they took all the power cards out and balanced the set out a bit. And then from revised, they made 4th, and then they started moving up the line, you know, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th. I don't know where they are today. I haven't bought cards in a while, so I'm not sure where Magic is sitting right now. But yeah, so you got these forests. These are lands. They're basic cards. These are what pay for your cards. You think of them like money. That's how I always... Whenever I taught anybody how to play this game, I'd be like, think of these cards like money. They generate 1 of a certain color, and you use those colors to pay for the cards. There's like a swamp. I like the artwork though, especially the older cards. Like that's a cool looking, you know, Urzur's glasses. Very simple effect. All it does, you put this card down into play, you turn it sideways on your turn, or on your opponent's turn, and then you can look at their hand. Kind of neat. I mean, I don't think anybody ever seriously used that unless there's a combo for it, but that's what Magic was all about, was combos. I don't even think I shuffled these, so these are probably the order that the decks were in. So I don't think you're supposed to shuffle when you're playing this set. I think you're just supposed to put it down the way it says and start playing it following the guide. But if you play real Magic, you're supposed to shuffle the deck. So some more lands there. This is neat. Winter's Blast. Again, the artwork is kind of cool. This is, well, it says tap X target creatures. So tapping is just simply turning it sideways. Winter Blast deals 2 damage to each of those target creatures with flying. Flying is essentially abilities that the creature, you can't block them unless you have flying yourself. So you have creatures out on your side, your opponent has creatures out on their side. Creatures with flying can fly over them and attack the player. So it's kind of a neat concept. This will actually damage those flyers. It's kind of a nice little card. Let's see what else we got there. This is kind of cool. Rod of Ruin. Again, these aren't really expensive cards. Most of these are commons. I probably have like tons of them. Dark Ritual. I always love this card. I think a lot of people love this card. It's a must if you play black. Black usually deals with life and death situations. So, you know, this one add 3 black for the cost of 1. So, there you go. You get 3 black, what they call mana, that you can spend on other cards. Then you got these Circle of Protection cards that just prevents damage from a certain color. This is neat. War Mammoth. It's kind of cool. Again, you know, nothing overpowered in this set. Mesa Pegasus, or Mesa Pegasus, however you want to pronounce that. This guy's got flying, and this really awkward keyword called banding, which confused the crap out of a lot of people on the way it worked in the earlier days. I don't even know if they still use that keyword anymore. It just allowed you to attack with a group of creatures as one creature. Kind of awkward. Weakness, nothing special there. This one gives a creature -2, -1. So the thing about that is -1 in their defense. If you bring them down to 0, they die. So kind of a neat card. If they could be like a 3/1, a 5/1, and whatever, you play that card, you kill them. And again, there's the Circle of Protection red. That probably would be very valuable because red does a lot of damage. So if red's color is all about damaging you directly. So that card, you know, it's not valuable in price, but valuable to have on the board if you're facing a red deck. Warp Artifact, kind of a neat card there. Deals 1 damage to each of target artifacts controllers. It's interesting. You put it on their card, their artifact card, and it deals damage to them every turn. Wall of Bone. Oh, it's an interesting little wall. Not bad. I mean, a wall essentially is a creature that can't attack. That's really what it is. Just sits there blocking. Whirling Dervish. Ugh. I mean, you can see the artwork. I think this was from an earlier set. What the 4th edition set did was they kind of blended a lot of the expansion sets together, put them into one base set. So you can kind of tell from that. And then we go on to these funky little cards. The turn sequence. So this tells you your turn. It's an interesting card to just kind of put beside you if you're learning the game. So it runs through the phases, the untap step, the upkeep step, the draw phase, your main phase, and it tells you what you can do in there. So I could see how this would be handy. Like I said, when I bought this, I already knew how to play the game. I just bought it to see what cards were in it. More forest, more land. You have to have about 20 land at least, or around that area in a deck. This guy's neat. He's like 1 attack, 1 defense, flying creature. So he flies over the guys to attack your opponent. And he only costs 1 green, which is a forest. Kind of neat. Scrib Sprites. He's a fairy. That's another thing with this game. You get into it and you can build theme decks around the different types of creatures there are. Like this guy, he's an imp. Kind of neat. Based off of Dungeons and Dragons type of idea. I know that the creator of this game kind of created this game as a means of something to do in between Dungeons and Dragons games. So he used a lot of the concepts of Dungeons and Dragons. So if you're into Dungeons and Dragons, and you probably know what this game is anyways. What's this? Alabaster Potion. This is a simple card, just gives you life. If you're not familiar again with this game, you have 20 life, so once you reduce your opponent's life to 0, you win the game. So it's that easy. There you go. Healing Salve. Save. I don't know. Just gain 3 life. Again, more life. This is an interesting card here. Bury target non-black, non-artifact creature. Again, the wording on this has changed. They got rid of that word bury. Essentially what that meant was if you did that to a creature, they could not prevent that creature from dying by using card effects called regenerate, which would prevent it normally from dying. So they kind of got rid of that keyword essentially and changed it to destroy target creature, it cannot regenerate. It's kind of interesting, but I think they had to streamline the game somehow. There's another bog imp again. Flying. We got some grizzly bears, and I'm just going to go through this quickly, see if there's anything else that looks cool. This is kind of neat. Raised Dead. I like the artwork on that. Looks really cool. Just brings a creature from your graveyard to your hand. So your discard pile, essentially. Not that useful, but I'd rather bring it from the graveyard into play. I think most people would. Just drop in my cards here. Untamed Wilds. That just searches for a land from your deck, which they actually call a library in this game. That's pretty much it. There's nothing overly complicated in this deck. It's very simple. Let's just take a look at the other one. So this one's got islands in there. That produces blue mana. Mana. Some people say mana, some people say mana. Got some more lands in there. Orcish Oriflame, that's kind of cool. All this does is all your attacking creatures you control get +1. So it's just a attack modifier, essentially. Detonate, that looks cool. Bury target artifact. Again, there's that word, bury. Detonate deals X damage to that artifact's controller. So it destroys an artifact and it does damage. It's not bad. Got some more lands, got some mountains, swamps. This guy's kind of cool. Vampire Bats. He's flying, and you can add mana to him to make him bigger. Not overly exciting, but still good. Energy Flux. This is what they called an enchantment. You would just play this card. It sits in play. It's kind of like that other card where the artifact's controller has to pay 2, or else they get 2 damage. It's kind of like an annoying card that just sits there doing damage. And this is similar. Feedback. It sits on the enchantment. See, there's an artifact creature, battering ram. This is another thing that they changed. The older cards just said artifact creature. Now they've changed the game that it actually just says the creature type. Like, we know it's an artifact. So it's kind of weird. The old cards, the older ones, all said artifact creature. This is a popular card in Magic. Oop. Get it upside down there. Fireball. There's actually a combo with this card and another card called Channel, where you can actually win on turn 1. It does require some really expensive cards to pull it off, but what it does is it allows you to use your life points as mana, and Fireball is you pay X amount of mana and do that amount of damage. So, interesting card if you have a lot of mana. But Vampire Bats. There's Power Sink. This guy looks like he sneezed all over himself. But anyway, that just counters the spell, which essentially means when your opponent plays a spell, you can play this one and stop that spell from actually happening. You have to pay mana though, lots of it. This one just to get you to draw a card. I really like the artwork. I like the artwork on a lot of the older cards. The newer card's great too, but I just like how the old artwork kind of has that more of a drawing feel to it. That's Orcish Artillery. Deals 2 damage to a creature and deals 3 damage to you. So not the overly exciting card I would want to play with. Here's another artifact creature, Clockwork Beast. This guy has a lot of text on him. He does a lot. You know, you're putting counters on him. You're taking counters off of him. It costs 6 mana to pull out. And with artifacts, it's like you could play any color. So they're not bad. This is a neat one. Cursed Land. You play it on your opponent's land, and it deals 1 damage to them each turn. Very simple effect. Nothing complicated there. Unsummon. Simple effect. Bounce the creature back to their opponent's hand. So they go through all that work to put the creature out on the board, you bounce it back to their hand. More zombies. If you like your zombie decks. Twiddle. That basically turns a creature sideways, so during your opponent's turn, if their creature is sideways, they can't attack with it. So they have to wait till their next turn, and then it untaps. So that can kind of buy you some time. And again, we got this. Tells you what's in the deck and all that. Some interesting artwork. So yeah, that's pretty much what's in this. It's kind of neat. It's been a while since I've opened this thing up and actually gone through it and taken a look. Like I said, nothing overly powerful. I think all those cards are pretty common, pretty cheap. There's nothing in there that's worth any money. This isn't a gold mine or anything like that. But it's just kind of cool to look at these old things and just kind of remember them. And, you know, even if it's just one day, just to have fun, just to play some basic Magic the Gathering without getting complicated and getting into the newer stuff and the expensive cards and all that stuff. It's kind of a fun thing to do. Anyways, hope you liked the video. Leave some comments below what you think. If you play Magic, if you've never played Magic, if you've ever heard of it, if you've used to play Magic and you've been considering getting into it, I mean, there's a lot of reasons why you might and might not want to play the game. I don't know. I'd love to hear for your perspective on that. Hope you liked the video. Hope you subscribe. Talk to you later.